Welcome to a podcast hosted by the great
Omar Chaudhry,
Will Moy,
Tom Kherkher.
As of launch, which was 2 hours ago, we believe we picked a new name, which is known as Counsel Table. For those that have a cooler name, drop in the comments and perhaps we'll entertain a name change. But with us this afternoon is Jennifer Kherkher. Jennifer, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. I like the new name, guys.
Great.
It's perfect.
It is our attempt to have kind of a wonky legal show that's rather technical and rather educational. So there's not a lot of war stories and things like that, but we do want the audience to get the benefit of who you are. So if you don't mind, just share with us a little bit who you are, what you are.
I'm Jennifer Kherkher. I'm an insurance defense lawyer. That's what I've been doing for about the past 10 years. I was a criminal lawyer before that. I am the managing partner of Houston, Dallas, and West Texas offices for Tyson & Mendez. Tyson & Mendez is a national insurance defense firm. And I have had the pleasure of working across the table from all of you guys, as well as a lot of other great plaintiffs lawyers across the state of Texas. And I enjoy my job a lot.
And we've known each other for probably about 10 of those years since you switched to do, I guess, civil defense work from the criminal side. And you were at a very established, very reputable law firm at Hartline Barger for a long time. And then my guess is outside of becoming married and being a mother, that career decision to change a few years ago was a big one?
Oh, yeah, it was a huge decision to change. Hartline Barger is where I really started my insurance defense career, working for the one and only great Daryl Barger. I got to work with him for almost 8 years. And obviously, highlight of my career so far, getting to work with him and learn from him. And I learned so much. I don't even realize half the time I'm talking about something that I wouldn't know if I hadn't heard him say it out loud first, or have had the pleasure of being in a room on a call, etc. with him. So he was great. I had one of the absolute greatest mentors and couldn't ask for anybody better.
There was I'll admit, I put it on his LinkedIn page on your former firm's post that if there was a Mount Rushmore defense lawyers, Daryl Barger would be on it twice. And I think that's fair for the rest of us that did that work. Well, what kind of went into that decision? Because again, you're at an established place. It's got a statewide, if not regional reputation, and the phone rang at some point and said, Jennifer, we got this opportunity for you. Like, what goes into that? How'd you make that decision?
Well, it was a tough decision, I have to tell you. It was a really tough decision, and I had actually gotten that phone call over a year before I said yes to it. It took a long time to make the decision. And, I think some of it was, honestly, I wanted the opportunity. I wanted the opportunity to take a big bite out of something, try something new, to be in charge. Probably wasn't going to get that for at least another decade at Hartline Barger, because they've still got so many great lawyers over there who were ahead of me as far as being equity partners, managing partners, things like that. And so I knew that I was going to be behind a little bit longer there. And so when this opportunity came up, I had to say yes. I also knew that I was supported. Daryl always supported everybody for leaving. He never took it personally. He never said, oh, she's leaving me, they're leaving me. He understood opportunity. He understands business. He understood that that I had to make the right decision for me and my family. And we talked. We worked on cases together immediately following me leaving. Same case. Got it almost ready for trial. It was just a couple days from trial when it finally settled. And we talked often for all the way up until he passed. We talked all the time.
Did you have any excess cases where you could come in as he was primary defense trial counsel and say, let me tell you what you're doing wrong, Mr. Barger?
Man, had I had the opportunity to do that, it would have been like the most beautiful capstone. No, I sure didn't.
Yeah, I'm sure the respect was still there.
What was that?
I'm sure the respect was still there. That it'll be hard to tell him, I think you're doing this wrong.
Oh, I just sent a few shitty emails just for fun, but no, you're right.
Fair game.
I never would have suggested he was doing anything wrong.
Yeah, that was a tough loss and a big loss to the legal community, but it is great to know that, his proteges such as you and many others are out there and kind of taking over that we see on the defense side, because like you said, sometimes it's easier to work together than against each other.
It is, and he really always drove that home. It was always like, look, we're we're against each other in this room, in this deposition, in this trial, in this mediation. At the end of the day, we're all in the same field. We're all in the same practice. We are a member of the exact same community. And it was very important to him to build relationships. I mean, I think, I don't know if you guys had an opportunity to go to his celebration of life, but that room was one of the most electric rooms to be in I have been in a very long time. Being around all those people that I knew learned from him and were practicing because of him. And then all of these plaintiffs lawyers, great plaintiffs lawyers, young and old, who had been in the practice for so long, just there to say nice things about this defense lawyer. It was cool. It was, I mean, obviously it was sad reason for being there, but it was a really cool room to be in. It's one of my really, really good memory, a favorite night for me, honestly.
It says a lot because it's Scott West, it's Richard Mithoff, and it's Michael Watts giving essentially keynote address of their dear friend and very respected trial lawyer who they went against in some massive cases for 35 to 40 years. And, you know, you make mention of the importance of that. Do you have a reason why people don't indulge that? Is it just because, hey, it's a fight and we're on the other sides? Like, why do you think there's a resistance to have this cross-pollination between plaintiff and defense as lawyers go, socially?
I don't know if it's a resistance. I mean, I don't think I've personally ever resisted it. I think that it's more, I think for young lawyers, no one's ever told them that this is okay. And maybe they think, am I allowed to sit down across the table? Are we allowed to break bread? Is somebody going to see this and think that something's going on? Is this the right thing to do? And I mean, I was just taught from the beginning that it's not only the right thing to do, it's the best thing to do. It will help your career, it will help your case, it will help your future cases. It helps your community, I think. So I think maybe part of it's just that, like until you're pushed into it or see somebody, your mentor out there doing the same thing, maybe you just don't feel like that's okay, that's comfortable. I don't know. Also, you know, people don't like to walk into rooms if they don't know everybody already. I personally can walk into any room and talk to anybody. That's my father. He could talk to a brick wall. And I got that directly from him. And so I'll walk into any room and be like, oh, you're a plaintiff's lawyer? Let me tell you why you're wrong. And just see if we can joke about something.
Well, there's a prolific LinkedIn personality, and I won't mention the name, but I was reading this morning a post where he said essentially sponsoring people that are friends with the other side end up overpaying cases. And I didn't want to honor that with a comment, but I just think that's patently wrong. Do you agree?
I think it's patently wrong. I think that friends that are on the other side, people that I actually call my friends, we can disagree on case value, but we can go talk about case value. And I could say this, just so you know, Will, I will never tell my carrier that they should pay X. But I think the case is here, and then we know exactly where our disagreement is. And we know if that disagreement's 200,000 apart or if it's 2 million apart. And we can take that back to our respective clients, and we can all make the right decision based on that actual real life information. And if you're not talking to people on the other side, then everyone's just guessing how everyone feels. And I don't think I overpay cases. I think I probably get cases settled earlier, which ultimately saves my clients money, because when I can just pick up the phone and call and speak to somebody without all this protracted discovery and you know, garbage motions running down to the courthouse and things like that, for motions arguments that could just be settled with a phone call. So I don't think so.
And I can attest to that for Jennifer.
Not overpaying cases, sadly.
Well, no, not so much that, but the fact that she picks up the phone and you know, we actually just recently did this about a couple of months ago on a case that I think we both had some issues, but she got the letter of representation, reached out immediately. We had the case settled in about a month, you know, just exchanging a couple of documents back and forth, but she went out of her way to say, hey, I know we have something here. Let's talk, and we got it resolved. We're actually about to do a minor prove up here soon, but it was nice, and I know she likes to reach across the aisle and talk to people, because I think one of her first quotes when she didn't respond to something was, "It's me. I'm the problem. It's me." And so I was like, I don't know if you're quoting Taylor Swift or is that just what you're saying? And it ended up being like we got to talk about both our loves for Taylor Swift, but both our loves for Taylor Swift.
There you go.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. It was me. I was the problem. It happens sometimes, but I hadn't responded to an email in a long time. It got buried.
No, but I'll just, I appreciate it. And Jennifer has been super easy to work with. I know our firm has either currently in the past had some larger cases with you, and it seemed to all work out.
I think they do, and some of them require us to fight for 3 years and take every single deposition, and some of them can be settled in a couple of phone calls. But I think that if you're communicating, then you're kind of having a good time while you're doing the whole thing, and you're providing the right information to your clients. And I think that goes for both of us. And so then we're both doing our job. We're both being the right kind of advocates for our clients in the right moment. And I hate when I'm in the dark. I hate plaintiffs' lawyers that will not speak to me about a case. Like, it's just, like, I guess we're going to go use the Texas Rules of Civil Procedure. We'll do all the things so that I can just find out the basic information that you could have told me in 5 or 10 minutes. I don't know. I just don't think it's very efficient, and we've all got a lot going on. I also, a pet peeve of mine is when plaintiffs' lawyers call me and say, well, I just wanted to create some billable work for you. And I was like, let me tell you, I got plenty. I have plenty to do.
Well,
I don't need to create any work today.
But that's kind of it's an
we're good.
unfortunate kind of die that defense lawyers can get cast with. It. They're just billing time for sport. They're milking a file. I think there's a reality. There's some folks that sadly fit that definition, but nobody at your former firm and no one at your current firm fits that definition. One, you're too busy just to sit around and take depots for kicks.
Yeah. We're not doing it for kicks. We're doing it because we couldn't get the information that we needed from the lawyers, or we've got different ideas of what the case value is, and those are the right reasons to be doing all that.
Why do you think a plaintiff's lawyer would be reticent to share with you some candid information and keeping you in the dark?
I think because they don't know me yet, because they haven't heard that, like, if you tell me something on a phone call, I'm not going to be using it against your client in a deposition, that this is just the easier way to do things. Maybe they didn't have the best mentor that taught them that. Maybe they've had bad experiences, because like you said, not every defense lawyer isn't milking a file and just trying to do that. There's some of those people out there, just some of the plaintiffs' lawyers out there who aren't always doing the right thing. So maybe they've had some bad experience. Someone hurt them.
Well, maybe we can agree that at least each motion for summary judgment is just billable time, right?
I'm sorry.
We can agree that every motion for summary judgment is just billable time, right?
No, we cannot agree with that. It is to the extent that I have any hope of it being granted. But no, we still have to fight the good fight.
No, I get it.
We know it's a losing battle.
We always think there's a fact issue, and we like to think there is. So,
well, the plaintiff's bar wouldn't overplead their cases with gross negligent facts that aren't a gross case, or other issues in the case that aren't clearly there after years of discovery. You wouldn't have to file those summary judgment motions because they could just file a non-suit of those claims, right?
From your lips to Daryl's
There you
ears.
go.
Yes, sir.
There you go. There you go.
No, it's but one of the reasons we wanted you on is because you had such a great mentor, but it seems like you've taken that role to be a managing partner over 3 very big offices in Texas. And, tell us a little bit about what you're doing with your younger attorneys and how you're managing and what you're seeing out there.
Yeah, I think that it is an absolute requirement of lawyers. I hate calling myself an older lawyer now. I'm still very young, obviously, but of lawyers who have been doing it for a while to raise good lawyers. I think that being a mentor and bringing people along with you is the most important thing that we can do in our practice. And I really like it. I enjoy it. It can be hard on my side sometimes because insurance companies don't want to pay for 2 lawyers to attend mediations and depositions, and we have billable requirements for the year, and so I can't just take an associate and say you're just following me every day for the next 2 weeks on this trial or this mediation and things like that. So it can be challenging, but you learn by seeing. I mean, you just do. You learn by seeing other people do it. You learn by seeing other people in challenging situations and how they decide to handle it, and that's how I learned. I have the pleasure of working on a lot of excess files. I work in a lot of excess towers, and there's a lot of specialty that goes into that. Learning how to talk to carriers, learning how to talk to plaintiffs' lawyers who have cases of that size. And I was in the room with Daryl hundreds of hours while he was talking to carriers and talking to plaintiffs' lawyers and CC'd on emails. And you pick up on things that he never told me. This is the word you use. This is how you do this. You never say XYZ. It wasn't that kind of learning. It was watch how I did this. See the result? See how that worked? Great. And I think that's the best way to learn. And so I spend a lot of time with my lawyers. I spend a lot of time with my associates. I invite them to constantly join depositions, constantly join mediations. Especially in this world, there's a lot of negatives with the Zoom world, but there's some good positive things about the Zoom world too. And one of those things is that a lot of lawyers can watch somebody take a deposition from their desk while they're doing other things and pick up on some of those things. They can all be listening in the background of a call. As long as, the plaintiff's lawyer on the other side doesn't mind a bunch of blank boxes from, just other people at my firm that can listen in, then that's an easy thing to do. And I think people learn a lot that way. You can only tell somebody so much. And then on the same side, like I get to watch them do depositions. So I can let younger lawyers out into the world to go try it. Sure, take that life care planner. I'm going to be right here. I'm going to sit here right next to you the whole time and help you ask the right questions and say, no, not that one. Things like that. And so we could do a lot more. So there's some benefits, but I think mentoring is I think it's fun. I think it's the best part of the job. I wish I could bill for it. I like raising good lawyers. I like seeing other people figure things out. I like when they're smarter than me and they teach me something. That's probably my favorite part.
And at Tyson and Mendez, you guys are a very big firm, right? How many lawyers do you have?
About 250 across the country.
Okay, and so it's a very large firm, and sometimes I think in those firms you kind of get the thought that these younger lawyers don't get to do so much because they always want the partner that's been around for a long time. Do the younger lawyers get to go take the depositions or go to trial if trial's going forward?
Absolutely. We're a big firm made up of a lot of little ones. Bob really lets us run our offices the way we want to. So I know that each office is run a little bit differently. You got to look to the managing partner for that office. So I can really, I can speak to a lot of the offices because I know a lot of these people very, very well. But I know for Texas, if you want to do it, I'm going to let you try. Period. If you think you can do it, go for it. Let's try it. Take that depo. I'll be by your side. You'll give me an outline. You want to attend the mediation and handle it? My screen will be off the entire time. I will be texting you with some suggestions and some numbers if I think they're going the wrong direction, things like that. But absolutely, it's strongly encouraged. One of the things that drew me to Tyson and Mendez, honestly, and I don't mean to be like cute or trite about it, but they have such a strong internal training program. It's crazy. There's literally a section of the firm called Tyson and Mendez University, and every month there is a Tyson and Mendez core course that everybody takes. It's taught by some of the partners, and we also have Tyson and Mendez Trial Academy, and
Wow.
that's held every single year. Pretty much anybody that wants to attend can go to Trial Academy, and that is part of it's Zoom and part of it's live. And then there's also, if you're a 30 and under year lawyer, there's you actually go to San Diego where our home office is, and you sit down and you take a full week of courses from partners. And that full week of courses has nothing to do with trial. It's how to write a report, how to prep a witness, how to just object to discovery, how to decide what needs to be redacted. It's the stuff they don't teach you in law school that if you don't get right early, you can kind of be spinning your wheels and frustrate some plaintiffs' lawyers and some clients. And so the idea of this training is that when you hire us in California, when you hire us in Texas, and when you hire us in New York, these are all trained lawyers who have been trained with the same methods and the same courses and by people who value education and training. And I think it does make for a very, very strong firm presence all over.
So it's third year and younger lawyers, and it's a whole week they go out? Like when they onboard, or is it once a year?
I think, what do they call it? I think it's called Tyson and Mendez AIR, TNM AIR. AIR stands for Attorney in Residence. And that means that so it's like, the medical community, they have residents that teach the younger doctors, the newest doctors. So then the partners are the residents, and then the other attorneys are in residence. And so they get to learn from us all week.
Have you heard of a firm that does what y'all do? Because I have not. I mean, my old shop.
I haven't.
Yeah, and I'm very fond of my old place of business at Thompson Co. We did associate school every other year, but it was a day or a day and a half. It wasn't an entire week. So yeah, I think that's rather unique and pretty awesome.
It's really cool. It's really cool, and I know it's not a profit center because we spend all this time training people, and Will, from being in a defense firm, people leave all the time, and we're constantly trying to keep our turnover down because it's expensive to train these lawyers and then have them leave, and we are constantly training lawyers that leave for other places for whatever reason, and we wish them well, but that's not a profit center. We just really think that it's the right thing to do. And we really think that it's raising better lawyers. And if we're raising better lawyers, then we're doing better for our clients. And ultimately, we will get hired more. And that's the cycle. But the education itself it's just because we want to do the right thing. And we think that it's the right thing to do.
So, Jennifer, if somebody wasn't at your great firm, like from your personal experience, so we have somebody listening to this podcast, they're a young lawyer, they're not at Tyson and Menendez, they want to be mentored. They feel like they're at a shop that doesn't have the resources that they need. How do they get trained externally? How did you do it?
Well, first of all, we're hiring. Second of all,
Nice plug.
Do we get a headhunter? Do we get a headhunter fee if they get any?
We heard about you on this Plaintiff Lawyers podcast.
I just paid 2 headhunter fees very recently, so I'm aware it's a lucrative business.
Oh, yeah.
So.
And we have a name now, sir.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
This is Counsel Table.
Yeah.
Counsel Table. So, yeah, go ahead. You're hiring and...
You're hiring and... I mean, I think that you have to be vocal. You join some organizations. I have reached out to other lawyers that I met at a mediation, that I met at one of the... I met somebody at an event for a judge. This was probably 6 or 7 years ago. Female lawyer, probably in her 50s, and she was just cool. She was doing what I was doing. There wasn't anybody at Heartline that sort of fit that mold, and she was a great person to talk to. And I was just like, hey, can I just call you sometimes with questions? And I did. I called her all the time with questions. I still call her all the time, not so much with questions as war stories now, but still, I built that relationship by getting out into the world. And I think that's harder these days. I think so many fewer people are getting out into the world, but that is always my recommendation, is if you want to be better at something, if you want to learn something, if you need to get out of your chair, get out from behind your desk. I have 2 initiatives at our offices that are very important to me, and every quarter I literally make every single one of my associates send me an email with 5 events they have out of the office for the next 90 days. You must be out from behind your desk, out into the world at least 5 times. And that seems crazy, especially to me, because I used to be like gone traveling 3 days a week to take a deposition or a mediation or whatever somewhere in Texas. And so the idea that I have to force people out, but Zoom's just so easy. It's just so easy, and everybody's defaulting to it now. So they just don't have to. But that also means they're missing out on going to clients' offices, going to the site inspection, going and meeting your expert in person. And I want them to do these things. So we get out from behind our desk, get out of your chair, and I record it and I keep track of it, which probably makes me a bit of a crazy person. But I do think that it like helps them. I do think it matters. And the other thing we do is peer reviews. And that's about, I don't know, it's not every month, but it's probably every 6 weeks or so. I pair up 2 lawyers within all of the offices, so everybody gets mixed up, and they're required to get together and talk about 3 cases. And then they just send me a little like, hey, we did this, and this is what I came up with that we could do. So you can create your own mentorship. Like you can do that. Like that doesn't have to be a requirement from your partner. That could just be something you do that you say, hey, fellow associate at my firm, can we have lunch and talk about some cases? I would love to hear what you think about what I should be asking in discovery or what I should be asking this expert or whatever. You can find mentorship everywhere. It doesn't have to be somebody who's significantly older or been practicing significantly longer. That's the cool thing about all of us lawyers is we've all got good ideas. It's just you might just not have thought about it yet. So you can ask anybody.
I've noticed. I'm assuming you're a millennial like me and Tommy here, and I think Will.
Sadly, no. I'm a Gen Xer and a proud one.
That's fair.
My Nirvana shirts are real and not ironical.
My 13-year-old nephew loves his Nirvana shirt, so I won't tell him you said that. But, I love to go to lunch. I get made fun of at my office because I leave for lunch every day. And sometimes I take a longer lunch because I hang out with some attorneys. But have you noticed that the younger attorneys at your office, they don't like to get out from behind? They sit behind their desk all the time?
We don't even go to the office. We're fully remote.
Are you really?
And we're fully remote. We have an office and it's available. And there's a couple of lawyers that go in more often than others. But we're fully remote. So nobody goes to lunch. And that's why I have this initiative, because it's very easy to stay at home. It's when that's the job, it's very easy to just never not do that. And it's important to get out.
And I think knowing your coworkers is so important.
We spend a ton of time together, I have to tell you, and that's curated and it's intentional. We have Zoom chat and that's our kind of our platform for everything. So we have chat groups for everything. We have one called Every 6 Minutes where we can talk about billing questions. We have
That's good.
We'll create chat groups for cases so that there's a place that you can go and talk about the cases. There's one for weekend plans, and we'll just, hey, how's everybody doing? And we just have water cooler talk. So we have a very intentional, it takes work. And sometimes if I'm not going to be there, I'll say, hey, Brennan, will you please push the conversation today and just make sure everybody's engaged in the chat for a little while, because I don't want anybody to feel that we're not an office, that we're not a team, that we're not connected. We have a lot of Zoom meetings. I have a camera on policy. If I call you during business hours, you have to turn your camera on. You don't have to be pretty, but you have to turn your camera on. We're gonna look at each other. I don't care if you're wearing sweats, whatever, your hair's on top of your head. But we're going to look at each other and we're going to have a communication. And I think those things are beneficial. And we're almost 2 years in. July 12th will be 2 years in to this Houston experiment. And I feel really close to my lawyers. I love them. I love our team. I really, really do.
Is Dallas and Lubbock remote too?
They are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I told you...
Lubbock is more in office than not, but that's just that's their personality, so it works for them.
I told you I wouldn't ask unfair questions, but I'm asking one anyway. What's the answer on retention? Because in my old shop, we struggled with the retention. Everybody in town, everybody in the state struggles with retention. Every conference you go to, people struggle with retention. And the reality is it's not just resident on the defense bar. The plaintiff's bar experience is the same thing. You guys are unique because it's work from home. I assume that's a draw for some people are motivated to be remote.
It is a draw for a lot of people, and I like that very much. But we don't have an answer. I mean, my candid thought on it is setting expectations. I think that most people leave, especially the people that leave in the first year. There was some miscommunication about what I was expecting and what they were expecting. So the interview process is really, really thorough. The first 30 days of employment is really, really specific, and lots of follow-up and lots of talking about expectations. So that way, if it's not going to be a right fit, we know super, super quickly. So I feel like I have people leave in the first 3 months, or they don't. And that's, I think, because they realize that, okay, this isn't a fit early, and she's not kidding.
You hire to desperation sometimes too, because you got files that need attention, and the reality is the clients trust you, the carriers trust you, you got to get cases moving, and I think it can create a situation that you're mishiring because you're motivated to have human beings and bodies and seats and behind Zoom cameras and billing time and working on files, because otherwise they're not going to get worked on at all.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I think that's one of the benefits of the bigger firm that comes in. We've almost always got somebody who can pick up the slack. And it might be a lawyer in California or a lawyer in Chicago that's going to pick up the slack for us. So we don't have to do that desperation hire. I haven't been in that circumstance yet. But I do think that the people that have left have not been right for us for one reason or another, or we weren't right for them. And I think it was mostly expectation setting.
Is the younger vintage of a lawyer, are they motivated with the training you guys do internally? Because you guys do more than anybody else does. I mean, I lived in that world for 25 years. Just your rendition of what y'all do is more than anybody has ever done.
Absolutely. It's way more than I ever received anywhere either.
Daryl Barger gave you the "don't F it up" mentoring, but that's okay.
Yeah. Why why'd you do that? Do it that way? I got that a lot. Why'd you do it that way?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know, because I thought it was a good idea. Obviously, I was wrong. But no, I think people are very motivated by it. Certainly in the interview process, I think we have a lot of people apply for it that way, and then they get into it and they're like, "This is a lot," and it is a lot. But like, so's our job. Like our job's a lot, and I just so. I don't know. I've definitely started focusing more on personality for hiring than I used to. I think that there's some just personality traits that work better, especially on the defense side. There's a group of people who, if your inbox is, if your to-do list isn't done at the end of the day, like it causes them stress. And like they're not right for insurance defense. The to-do list is never going to be done. It's like whatever you finish the last thing, it's just like 5 more deadlines have hit, so you're not done. And so it's just, you've got to have a personality that can handle that. You've got to have a personality that can pivot. You've got to have a personality that can be yelled at in 1 second on a case and then be sweet as pie to the next client that calls, because they're different cases. And just not everyone's like it. So I've started focusing more on personality. Those kinds of things.
Have you noticed in the interview process that I feel like I've been interviewing a lot of people, and then you find out that almost everyone can interview. Everyone knows what to say. It's and then you get them into the desk and you get them into the work, and all of a sudden you're like, this is not the person I thought you would be, and you either got to cut bait really fast or figure out how to interview people. Have you noticed that difficulty?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's definitely a problem, because everybody can answer all the questions about, I'm happy to work these many hours. Yeah. I'm happy to put in that effort. I'm a great writer. Researching is my passion. That's my favorite. Researching is my passion. I just love writing. No, you don't. Stop it.
I would never say that.
People do.
Send me that person.
Yeah. Well, the Velcro shoe crowd likes to write and, write appellate briefs, and that group. You can pick them out of a lineup, though. You know if they're telling the truth or not.
They're a dime a dozen. Not a dime a dozen. You would love to find one of those unicorns that loves to write and do appellate briefs and all that.
Yeah, that would be nice. But the person that likes to write doesn't always, they don't necessarily want to sit on the phone for hours with clients and respond to discovery. And like, we have to do both. So I don't know. I think that finding out more about a person's personal life and what they like to do on the outside of work and how they handle a problem, if you can give them like an example how they decide to handle a problem, is probably more informative than like asking them how many depositions they've taken. I don't really care how many depositions you've taken. I'm going to tell you how to take one my way anyway. So it doesn't matter. But what matters is if you're a problem solver. I mean, if client calls you at 4:30 and says, "Oh, that discovery answer was wrong, and I can't believe you filed that, and I'm so mad at you," what are you going to do? Like, what's the first step? What's the first call? Are you going to curl up under your desk and cry? Because that's the answer. You curl up under your desk and cry, then you stand up and you brush it off and you fix the problem. You don't call anybody, you just fix it yourself. And like, the person who could be like funny and deprecating, it's a little self-deprecating, and just wants to solve the problem themselves, like that's the person I'm looking for. Like, that's great.
It is hard to find the proactive self-starter these days, because everyone's so worried about messing up. And I was taught from a great guy when I started in personal injury, and he always told me to say, he's like, I don't care if you mess up as long as you're pushing. And it was true. He's like, the only time I'd be mad is if you're just stop doing anything. And I mean, is it the same on the defense side? If you're not doing anything, that's where it's kind of the problem.
Yeah, not doing anything is always a problem. But yeah, I always tell people, like, we can fix just about anything. Like, there's really not that many problems that we can't fix if I know about them. If you hide them and you try to like go, oh, I didn't mess that up, I'm not going to tell anybody about this deadline I missed or whatever, and then that's your problem. And I mean, to come full circle, problems are the reason to have good colleagues on the plaintiff's side.
Yeah, I agree.
Because if I screw something up on one of Will's cases, I'm just going to call him and say, Will, I got an associate, screwed up this deadline. Like, do we need to go down and fight about it? Can we make this work? Whatever. And we'll work it out. We'll figure out a way to work it out. That's not going to cause somebody to have a malpractice claim against them. And if I know the person on the other side, it's always a lot easier than if I've never said a kind word to them.
I've picked up the phone many times and said, hey, the only thing that I think we can't fix on our side is a statute of limitations issue. Other than that, I mean, you picking up the phone and saying, hey, give me a day, here's what I need, and 99% of the time, it's a don't worry about it. Well, you can do it. And I think that's very important to teach all lawyers. It's just, there's a time to fight and there's a time to be nice, but you'll always be respectful.
Always be respectful. Yeah. I mean, and sometimes you just have to say, like, I want to tell you, yes, my client said no. We've got to do what our clients want us to do. You guys have been in that position before, and I mean, I'm not mad at you. It's just like, all right, well, here we go. We'll keep going. We'll keep trying this.
Yeah, that's fair.
Tell us about, I know your firm very appropriately is very deliberate in their diversity initiatives. Tell us why y'all do that, why it's important, and why more people should probably be focused on that than they are.
I mean, I think that I think that everybody understands why diversity is important, but maybe in our political climate, that's not necessarily true. The reason I think that it's required for lawyers to focus on diversity is because our juries are diverse, and that's who we're speaking to. And if we're not coming up with ideas and theories and evidence and information and ways of presenting evidence with that in mind, then we're only doing half our job. The whole job is to get the case ready to present to a jury. Juries are diverse. For me, it's that simple when you're just thinking about it from a law firm standpoint. And then obviously there's just the human side of it. What we do is it's incredibly varied. Like, that's my favorite part, right? Is that even if I have 100 trucking accidents, they're going to be different. Plaintiffs are going to be different. The experts are going to be different. The issues are going to be different. And one person with my background is not going to do the best on every single one of those cases. But get me an awesome, diverse group of people that are diverse in age and gender and life experiences, then in background generally, like ethnicity, where they're from and how they grew up. Now we've got a group of people who can come up with ideas to make each case in each defense specialized to that perfect scenario.
Well, I'll say your firm walks the walk and talks the talk, because you've got female leadership all over the country, and these are female trial lawyers. They're in a BOTA, they're board certified, they got skins on the wall, they've tried the biggest cases against the best lawyers. And, following your social media presence, your firm, I always look at that and thought, man, that's pretty darn cool.
Yeah, we do. We really, really do. And it was funny. We had a managing partner meeting in San Diego just a few weeks ago where we all got to get together, everybody that manages in one of our offices. And first time a lot of us had ever been in the same room together. And that was a cool group. It was a cool group of people. The number of females is astounding, led by Casey Lynch, who, is the firm managing partner, and it's a cool group, and we were there. The reason we got together in San Diego was to try to solve problems. We were talking about things like retention and motivation. Like, how are we going to get these lawyers to be motivated to hit their goals? How are we going to be prepared for the next wave of legal arguments? And then we talked about what we're seeing out there in different venues, and we all got to get together to do that. And then obviously, have some nice meals and some drinks and enjoy the weather. And it was a really, really good time. But you're not kidding. When you're in rooms like that, when I'm in rooms like that, I'm like, why? How did I get in this room? It's so awesome to be in rooms like that. But then you look around and you realize that this is not the same kind of room that it would have been 15 years ago. It would have been a bunch of old white dudes 15 years ago, and no offense to old white dudes, but
Will.
they've been running the world long enough. Move over.
Yeah,
And
there's an appropriate evolution. And I thought your comment about jurors in Harris County, not so much the veneer, but your seated 12 are going to be incredibly diverse. And it's important to be reflective of our community and who our legal teams are. So I agree with you as a middle-aged Gen X white dude, not an old white dude.
And so, Jennifer, now's a good time just to ask you, like, if someone does, they hear this and they're like, I want to know about Tyson and Mendez. How do they go apply? How do they become an associate or an employee or an attorney at Tyson and Mendez?
Well, call me. My email's literally online. It's on the website. It's jaker@tysonmendez.com. Shoot me a message. We have an incredible internal recruiting team, and I'll refer you over to them. And they've literally, it's a staff of people whose job it is to tell potential, not just attorneys, but we're always also looking for staff and paralegals about the firm. See if you're a good fit before they even introduce you to the offices. So you can learn a lot without even taking up a lawyer's time yet, just by meeting with our awesome recruiting team. And you can check out our website and see all about Tyson Mendez University. At some point, and I'll say this for all the defense bar out there, it is, we say it a lot. We say it a lot in our meetings. I say it a lot when I'm speaking on behalf of the firm at CLEs and at big conferences and things like that, is that the plaintiff's bar does such an incredible job of sharing information, and the defense bar is terrible at it, and we're trying to be better. And that goes like tenfold for our firm. Not only are we trying to be better, but we are being better at it. If you are a defense lawyer and you want us to consult with you on a case, call us. We will. I mean, we'll run conflict on it, obviously, and do it the right way. But you can talk to our lead trial people. We've got an awesome trial team that can swoop in anywhere, and they will be happy to consult with you. If you've got a SAM case, I'll put you in touch with an incredible partner we have in New York that was a prosecutor in Brooklyn for 20 years. Whatever you've got, we'll find the right person. We're happy to consult with you because we think that sharing information, helping to educate other firms and other defense lawyers brings us all up.
Is Tyson Mendez a full-service firm or only insurance defense?
We are insurance defense. We have an incredible network of lawyers that are appellate lawyers and coverage lawyers and anything else you might need, though. So if you've got a question and you need the right person, we'll help get you to that person.
That's awesome. No, this has been so educational, just hearing from the defense side and like we're doing here, like reaching across the side of across the aisle and just learning a little bit. And collaboration, I think, on both sides is very important. And the plaintiff side does do it well. I think Will can attest to that.
Yeah, there is no question of someone that sat on that side of the fence for 25 years to be on this side of the fence for 14 months to see how the different stark differences between collaboration and cooperation. And I think my commentary, if asked, would be this. I think the plaintiff's bar recognizes that it's an all boats rise concept. I think too many times the defense bar is worried about selling the secret sauce and they won't get hired or they'll get taken off panel or their rates will be affected if everybody learns their tricks. The reality is there's not that many tricks. Good lawyers are good lawyers, but insight on particular experts or particular witnesses, insight on how a particular judge proclivities or anything that you need in litigation that we can literally type in and get access to pretty immediately just doesn't exist on the defense bar at all.
It really doesn't, and we're trying to make it better because I do believe that the tide raises all ships, and rising tide raises all ships, and I think that that's what we should be doing. I think it's about a lot true for this also, which is why I would come on a podcast with 3 plaintiffs' lawyers, because I think we can share information, and I feel that this has been a bit of an advertisement for Tyson and Mendez, and I didn't mean to make it that way at all, but it's just I do think we're doing things the right way. I do think that it's a good new way of doing things. It's an interesting firm model that's different than a lot of the other firms that I know about in Texas, and that I've heard about in the past. So that's cool. So I guess in that way, it's innovative, and it's a relevant topic to talk about.
No, and it's not an advertisement. The reality is I've known your firm for a long time. There's lawyers in this town. There's lawyers in this state that need a home. They need a good home. We hope they find a home with you guys.
No, I love that. I love that. Send them over.
Great.
Yeah.
Tommy?
All right. No, that's it. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for coming on.
Absolutely, guys.
Yeah.
Good luck. This
All
is
right.
awesome. This is super fun.
Thanks. I hope to see you around soon.